Hey, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody with an invisible condition, no matter what that condition is, to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you do have a voice, you have a community, and you are never, ever alone. Now, here on Invisible Condition, we know that life can be tough sometimes because I live with one too. I'm no stranger to tough days, right? 7 brain surgeries in so far with my invisible condition. So, as you can imagine, there's some interesting times. At the same time, there is always hope. Always hope. If you've fallen away from that, or you are in a hopeless spot, or you don't feel like hope is part of your world right now, reach out. I'll put my email on there on the screen here in a minute, because I'm going to talk about something else too before we bring our guest on. But if you really need to reach out and talk about that, I would be more than happy to do that. So if you're grasping for hope and not finding it, let me know. But it's a beautiful place to be. So join me. It's pretty awesome. So all right, I am going to put this right here. I want to talk about Hydro with Hope, which is our nonprofit side of our show. And Hydro with Hope is there to support families and individuals that are living with a condition that I was born with called hydrocephalus. Now, that is a really gnarly condition sometimes, and it can present some very interesting things in your life. Brain surgery is no joke. And so when you have brain surgery, you just never know what you're going to get. And so sometimes there's side effects, sometimes there's long hospital stays. I want to help you. I want to be there as the voice of hope for you and your family if you're going through that. So if you or somebody is in that boat and they live with hydrocephalus, or somebody they love lives with it, I'd love to hear from you. Shoot me an email. Go to our website, hydrowithhope.com. There's some resources there. There's a place to donate. Thank you very much in advance. And there is a journal that you can get a hold of there as well that will walk you through the terrifying experience of, holy smokes, we get to do this again? Brain surgery? Really? Okay. So we created this journal specifically for people in our community. So if you know somebody that could use one, that's where you can get it. And there you go. And so also in the same breath, I'd like to, I'm going to put that back up there. If you know of somebody that wants to get the message out about what they do with their business or their nonprofit or their organization, I'd love to talk to you too, because we're always excited to meet new advertisers and sponsors. And this is an awesome place to do it, because we've got a growing audience that really loves what we're doing and would love you too. So reach out. Let's have a conversation. All right. Now, let's take that down so our names come back. There we go. Welcome to live TV, everybody. Pushing buttons. Here we go. All right. Now, our guest, I'm very excited for you to meet Ron Cooper. Ron is the CEO and founder of the Cooper Culture, which is a veteran-owned company that helps organizations enhance leadership, teamwork, and workplace harmony, which, that's never a bad thing, right? He is a former U.S. Air Force commander and combat pilot with 22 years of service. Thank you very much. Wow. Ron brings his military precision and leadership experience to the business world in the form of business development. So as a certified leadership trainer, DISC consultant, which if you don't know what that is, personality testing, if you're not familiar, DISC, and public speaker, he empowers teams to communicate better, build trust, and perform at their best. Alongside his wife, Marty, he is passionate about fostering strong relationships in business and family, because it's important everywhere. So let's bring him on and get this show on the road here. Man, Ron, thank you so much for being here, man. This is going to be fun.
Hey, Jeff, great to be with you and your guests. It's always good, man.
I appreciate it, man. This is good stuff. It always fascinates me. Every guest I have on the show, it's such a fun experience to have all these new people and get you out to my audience and introduce you to them. Oh, by the way, that's the other thing I was gonna say. By the way, if you are watching, no matter where you're watching from, if you're watching from Facebook, YouTube, E360. Now, Facebook and YouTube are unique in that if you hear something during our discussion today and you go, whoa, I need to reach out to Ron and ask him for help, or I have to clarify this, or I want to ask about that, throw a comment in there and we can get back to you. So, and at the same time, we are also going to put a QR code up here with Ron's website. And so we'll talk about that in just a second, but scan that QR code and you can reach him as well. So, all right, Ron, I got a question for you that I ask everybody at the beginning of the show, because I always love the answer. There's no wrong answer. So on the days that, over the years, think back to, on those days that aren't great, on those days that are dark and hard, how do you still maintain hope?
No, it's a great question, Jeff. And I think everyone may have their own way of doing things to have hope. But I will tell you that I think it'd be useful for your listeners to know up front, Marty and I are faith-based. My ultimate hope is through Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. And that may be offensive to some people, and I hope not, but I just want everyone to know the truth. The foundational source of my hope is Jesus Christ, Lord and Savior, who died on the cross for me. That is my underlying hope, the foundation of that. Now, beyond that, Marty, my wife, and I have been married 57 years. She and I can talk about anything at any time. And I do talk with her, and I just compare insights with her. I will tell you that sometimes, Jeff, I am a long time, I would call it classic country music enthusiast, while also being Southern gospel music enthusiast.
Right.
I can, there are times I just want to sit back and listen to music that's soothing. That is what'll take me through different things. But those kind of things, Jeff, there's always hope. And I'm sure you and I will talk about personal relationships, which is
Yes.
the core of our being.
Nice. Love it. And I am in full agreement. We would not be anywhere without our relationship with Jesus. So I'm with you there, man. I wake up and thank him every day for the breath he gives me. So it's a beautiful thing. So yeah, I love that answer. That's perfect.
That's all great to share that fellowship with us. And I'll tell you, Jeff, without no attempt to sidetrack us, I know there's some people who are just in an unsettled life situation, and they're looking for hope, and they want their life settled. And let's talk, because you matter.
Absolutely. Yes. And that's part of the reason I say what I do at the beginning of the show with the, because we live in a land of hope around here, man. If you have lost your hope, you are in a world of hurt. And so no matter where that hope comes from, we hope it comes from Jesus. But if it doesn't, we can help you with that too. So, but yeah, no, I love that. It's the only way to be, in my humble opinion. So, but man, you have, I read your intro, and everybody heard me read your intro. Like, you have a lot of cool stuff in your background, and lots of stuff in your career. But you said for the first 20 years of your life, you had no confidence and undiagnosed ADHD going on, which probably didn't help with the confidence thing. Can we go back there just for a minute and just tell us about kind of how that started, when you found that out, and like, what was that part of life like?
No, thank you, Jeff, for the opportunity to share this. I will tell your listeners, I help leaders train to be what I call appropriately vulnerable. And what I mean by that is I'm happy to tell you the way things used to be. I'm not here to dwell on the past, and our past will never define us except by our choice. But In the context of the past, Jeff, I was maybe 5 years old or so when I was at an air show at Andrews Air Force Base, and I saw the Air Force aerial demonstration team fly. They're called the Thunderbirds,
Yes.
and at that moment, I just thought, oh my gosh, I became just fascinated with that, and I just thought, I want to fly. But here's what the problem was, Jeff, and my father is not here to defend himself, and I have no intention of talking about or denigrating him, but
No.
it is a very formative part of my life where I had no confidence that I could ever be a fighter pilot. I thought I was stupid because my father, and I believe he's probably just a product of his background, would frequently say to me, "Oh, I thought you knew, or you should have known." And because of my analytical mind, I'm thinking, well, how would I have
Right.
known?
Right.
And my father is the type person you never question him because that becomes questioning his authority, and I'm just not interested in getting into those kind of arguments. So what ended up happening, Jeff, for about the first 2 decades of my life, I had churned over and over and over in my mind, I'm stupid, I'm not capable of learning.
Mm.
I now know in hindsight, 7 decades later, that I had a very, very poor mental health. That was my invisible condition. I
Yeah.
was never officially diagnosed as mentally ill. I was never diagnosed officially with ADHD, but I do believe that as I reflect on the past the way it used to be, that is what the condition I had for the first 2 decades of my life. And it was four men back in the very formative stages of my life who helped me overcome that very difficult part of my life. But I guess, Jeff, in one sense, in the context of invisible condition, I'm a little bit different maybe from your other guest in that I was not officially clinically diagnosed. It's just that
Sure.
as I look back on it, I wonder, why was I the way I was? And I'll just say very briefly, leaders who are listening, it is very possible, maybe even very likely, you have people in your organization who are now the way I was.
Yes. 100%. I'm sure they do. You know what? It's so common. I mean, ADHD, talk about, I mean, we can go on down any rabbit hole you want about why ADHD pops up and what the cause is and all the things, but and whether you should get tested, whether you should really get that diagnosis or not. I mean, whatever. The point is, there are probably people out there, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in the business world that are diagnosed or undiagnosed. And so, yes, if you are out there and you are in that boat, you're not by yourself at all. I mean, and
No,
there's
not at all. And
yeah.
Jeff, here's the other part to this that because I felt so insecure and I didn't know what my worth was at an early age, I would remain silent largely
Mhm.
throughout my life. I would never ask a question because that would verify I'm stupid. That was my mindset, that
Ah,
never ask a question, Ron, because those who know don't have to ask questions. And if you don't know, you're stupid. That,
mm,
Jeff, was my mindset. And so it took me nearly 2 decades to realize everyone's ignorant about something. There's a difference between ignorance and stupidity. And I
yeah.
think I've learned a difference. But very honestly, Jeff, I would not ask a question for nearly 2 decades of my life because I was so incredibly insecure that that would just seem to heighten my insecurity and the churning over my mind that I'm not intellectually capable.
Well, I can understand that. Yes, there have been times over my life that have felt that way too. Don't you dare open your mouth because you're better to stay silent and make them question whether you're stupid than to open your mouth and remove all doubt, right? You
Right.
don't want to give them that ammunition. But you made it through. I mean, did you know you had AD? I mean, you went through Virginia Tech. I mean, you graduated from an amazing school despite that. I mean, this was in the midst of that, right?
It was, and I will tell you that I have had to work through a lot of my internal doubts, and And so there were subjects that, oh my, it was very difficult to get through some of those. But I do know that as you're comfortable working with other people, and that's a lot of what we represent right now, that you're comfortable working with other people. People
Yes.
can trust you. You demonstrate the fact that you care, and that was largely the story of the four men who helped me over a very, very difficult part of my life. And each of those four men were very instrumental at a different time in my life. But it just turned out that God presented these men to me who were, Jeff, I would say in a very meaningful sense, accepting of who I was, and maybe in spite of who I was. But that's a much longer story behind that.
Okay. Well, sorry about that.
Jeff, the four men that I referred to are my grandfather, uncle, high school football coach, and father in law. And they did not function officially as mentors, but yet they worked in my life. I accepted them as a mentor. Here's the one common trait each one of them had: they accepted me. I guess I would say, in spite of maybe how awkward I was, anything of that nature. And by accepting, what I mean by that, Jeff, is we could converse. I felt very comfortable speaking with each of these four men. My grandfather was a very reserved, quiet, unassuming farmer. He dropped out of school when he was in third grade because he felt he was needed to run the farm. And so here is a third grader operating a farm, but he had common sense. He just knew how to invest money, and he was there's virtually nothing that he needed to know that he could not learn. And I just admired that in him.
Yeah.
A very quiet, unassuming kind of person, but I could see confidence in him. And that was something that was very attractive. He and I could talk. I could ask questions. He would answer, and just thoroughly enjoyed being with him. So during every summer and every opportunity I had, I stayed with my grandfather and my grandmother, who accepted me totally. Their son, my uncle, was very much the same thing in terms of accepting, except that he was as gregarious as my grandfather was reserved. But he and I could talk all the time. I had just thoroughly enjoyed being with him. One conversation I had with him that 7 decades or more ago, and I remembered as if it happened just last week. He said, "Let's go look at an unloading wagon." We were on a farm, but I focused on the word "let's," specifically apostrophe S, us. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
you would be willing to spend time with me, just the two of us? Oh, Jeff, that was that was so incredibly meaningful to me, but that was very representative of who my uncle was. And that's the kind of relationship we had. I can tell you about a very funny story that became a core value to me, maybe a little later in the conversation.
Sure.
Then was my high school football coach. I'm obviously in high school, and I was certainly anything other than a star athlete, but my high school football coach, in a very same way, accepted me, spoke with me. When I was working on the farm, I did everything I could to make the first team. I ran after working maybe 16 hours on the farm, run 5 miles a day.
Yeah.
My high school football coach learned that I did this, and even to this day, I have no idea how he learned that, but he complimented me for doing just that. And I thought, oh, wow, that is very meaningful. I'm not trying to bring attention to myself, but
No.
he just recognized me for that. And then finally, my father-in-law, later in life, as I'm in college, he too accepted me, and he would frequently say, Ron, I really appreciate knowing the way you think. And I thought, oh my goodness, think. I with my what I now know to be mental illness and so forth. I mean, you even think I have a brain? And so he was a do-it-yourselfer, and we worked very, very well together. Jeff, that's in a very quick summary, though, the 4 men over a period of probably 12, 15 years who helped me over my condition, what I now know now to be a very, very poor mental health condition, and the thinking that I'm stupid, so I'd never ask questions. So I say somewhat jokingly to people, I'm making up for lost time now.
I mean, everybody can say that in one way or another, right? There's always that period where you, right? So I can totally understand that. And that's fantastic. And I really, when we come back from our break here, we're going to go to a break in just a second, but I had a similar experience with my grandpa that I want to that we can reflect on here after maybe at the beginning of the second segment here. But I need to go. Are you a coffee drinker, Ron? I got to go refill my coffee here. I'm gonna do that during the break. So after I talk about,
I am, Jeff, and I'll join you with that.
Bring it on, man. I'm a huge fan of good coffee. So we'll see you in just a minute after we go get that refill. So all right, everybody, man. Look, I'm never shy about saying that I'm a coffee nerd, okay? Coffee snob, coffee nerd, whatever you want to call it. I like good stuff to be in this cup, okay? If a bag of coffee doesn't have a roast date on it that's within the last couple of weeks, I don't want anything to do with it. So that's why I'm so thankful that I met Mike at Roast to Order Coffee. They get it, okay? They roast the beans fresh, they ship them to your door, and they're always coming up with new, cool, amazing, offerings. And so, varieties, flavors, types of coffee, ways to deliver the coffee, right? So I like using my coffee maker, just the Mr. Coffee thing with the filter, the grounds, and, but some people like the pods, right? Like the Keurig, and they got you covered. No matter what you use, you are covered. And they've got everything for that discerning coffee maker to make them happy. And so whether you love an Ethiopian light roast or an espresso or decaf or flavored coffee or those little pods, Mike's got you covered. And he's even got e-gift cards and coffee subscriptions. Hello, Christmas is coming. Who's the coffee lover in your life? Coffee subscription, e-gift cards. They'll love you for it. And so use this QR code to order, and you'll get 20% off your first order. So simple as that. The coffee's amazing. You got to try it. I can't wait and let me know what you think. Seriously, shoot me an email at invisiblecondition@e360tv.com and tell me what your favorite is, because Mike's going to want to know, because he listens to his customers. So let me know what you like, and when we'll get it back to Mike, and maybe he'll come up with something for you. So, all right, everybody, we'll see you in just a couple of minutes, and Ron and I will be back. See you soon.
Are you being priced out of healthcare? Tired of the prices skyrocketing and having to go to doctors dictated by a network? we feel your pain and have the solution, a nonprofit approach that is ethical and affordable. Take a moment to learn about a way that works better and feels better than health insurance.
Hey there. You know, every time someone comes into your business or website and uses their card to pay, a percentage of that gets folded back into the system. But it can go to Hydro with Hope instead. If you'd like your business to support us rather than feed back into the system, scan the QR code and we'll show you how to do that while saving your business money.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Greg Russell. I'm the host of TechnologyTuesday.com. You can find us on the Conscious Business TV network every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the latest resources to help you make more money in your business. Join us on E360 TV. Come on.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for being here, Ron. This is amazing. I'm enamored already. Like, if you didn't see the first segment, you got to go back and watch it because it's good stuff. And I want to make sure we specifically point out your website right now because we had it up there for the first part of this first segment too. But when people are watching and they see that QR code, everybody wants to scan it. But what are they going to get when they scan? Like, where are they going to go?
It's going to take your listeners and viewers to our website. And the Cooper Culture is our company, but we emphasize culture. And culture is, call it an environment, but it has to do with it's a branding statement. That is, if you are a business owner, what would your company be known for? What would you say your brand is? Culture has to do with how your company is defined, and it says a lot about those on your staff, your employees. But that's all of what we're about, developing that culture. And we know that people leave or stay with an organization because of people, and it's all about culture.
100%. No matter what anybody says in that exit interview, when they leave a company, you can guarantee it that it's the culture and the people that really makes the difference, whether you keep somebody or not. So, yep, 100%. Man, well, I tell you what, you said something in that last segment that kind of struck me a little bit, and I'm still kind of emotional about this because he was such a good friend of mine, and my mom's dad, my grandpa, his wife, my grandma she's 95. She's still kicking. I think she's going to outlive us all. She's so tough,
great,
man. She's awesome. I just saw her last weekend. She's amazing. Her husband, Grandpa Don is his name. And he and I, you talked about spending a lot of time over there. Since I was 5 years old, I was going over there every Friday night to watch movies with Grandpa and eat red licorice and eat stuff I'm not supposed to eat at mom and dad's and drink pop when I'm, and just hang out because grandparents want to spoil their grandkids, right? So I was over there all the time, and man, did he have an impact on me. I got to hang out with him for 40 years before he passed away at 90 a few years ago. So that relationship, especially with grandparents, is huge. It's so cool, and it's so fun when people get to have that relationship because it's so impactful. He was actually a sign painter for 50 years, like old school paintbrush and palette, and like he would paint signs, paint the sides of trucks, paint billboards. Like that was his thing for 50 years. So it was really cool. So when you were talking about your grandpa, I had to chime in here because my grandpa was incredibly important in my life too. So it was cool to hear somebody else, talking about that. So
No, and I'll tell you, Jeff, there are a lot of people who sometimes it's 20 years after the fact, or some years after you assimilate all the facts of just how important a person was in your life,
yeah,
and that was somewhat indicative of me. I had to look back on and just how did things come together, who's who, and my grandfather was. The one who operated the farm. And I'll just say very briefly, Jeff, that on the farm, we worked as a team. We did things together, and the work's not done until it's done for everybody. And but we ate meals together, and we work and then we eat. And so, and I say somewhat jokingly that that was the order in which I was raised. You work your way to the table. But I will say
that's right.
that for one breakfast, I remember this so vividly. It's as if it just happened a few days ago. But the telephone rang, and my uncle answered the phone. And it was just he did more listening at that point than talking. And then he made the statement that is very close to verbatim. Let me tell you something, mister. If you ever come on my property, you'd better have a doctor along with you, because he will need to surgically remove my foot from your rear end. And my uncle hung the phone up at that point, and I think, oh my goodness, I don't want to look at my uncle. I don't want to talk about it. But apparently what had happened, Jeff, is the salesperson did something that was unethical, lied to my uncle or something like that. But I will tell you, that is a lesson that has stayed with me for decades and always will. Just never lie to each other. And we work together as a team. And those are part of the values, Jeff, that formed my work ethic and stays with me, has all of my life. But those are the things that were so meaningful to me. And thankfully I was able to thank my grandfather and uncle in the context of the farm. It's the impact they had on me. But yes, people have an impact on you. It's as your listeners are watching and listening to this, just know there's some of us that take a while to assimilate the impact you've had on us, and we are trying to still formulate the words. And there may be times we don't even feel comfortable that we can express ourselves eloquently to let you know the impact, Jeff, you had in my life. But I just want you to know you had such a profound impact in my life, and I was able to put the words together and tell each of those four men. Jeff, that's just one way some people can have an impact on our lives.
Absolutely. And I had a similar experience with a neurosurgeon, my childhood neurosurgeon. And I got to actually go back, and he did the first brain surgery on me at 2 weeks old. And he might have done the one at 6 months as well. But I got to keep in touch with him over the years, and we wrote letters back and forth. And he gave me a graduation gift, and sometimes he'd send me a birthday present, and I ended up he retired and moved to Texas, and my wife and I got to go there one time and literally, hug his neck and thank him for everything he did, and thank his wife for the sacrifice she made and all the things. And that it's one of those things. It's like a bucket list moment. You don't realize it's a bucket list moment until you're done. And then you've moved on and you're looking back and you're going, man, that was cool. Not everybody gets to do that. So yeah, it's amazing when you get to actually say what you want to say to people like that.
Jeff, one of the things I speak on, but I was known as my uncle's shadow. I was, wherever you saw my uncle, I was always with him. Nice. And I became known as his shadow. But again, he accepted me, and I learned a lot from him. Again, somewhat of an unassuming, gregarious type person, but yet he and I functioned so well together that, again, acceptance. When you accept people for who they are, you can help bring out the very best potential in people. And for your leaders that are watching and listening to this, Jeff, that's one of the things I want to encourage you to do, that believe in people, be willing to invest in them. And I will tell you that in most cases, your time is more important than anything else, just investing the time.
100%. And along with that, I mentioned it in reading your introduction, with before the show. One of the things that you do for businesses, and this has stuck with me forever, and I still 25 years ago I heard this for the first time, and it still sticks with me, and every time I hear it, I go to seminars and conferences all the time that go over this stuff, and I'm one of our mentors is a certified person within the DISC community, the Wiley group, and so we get to go over that over and over and over throughout the year. And it's so valuable for those of us that don't know what DISC is. I feel like everybody knows about it, but for those that don't, can you give them like an overview, like what is it and why should somebody want to know about it?
Oh, I'll tell you, Jeff, it's so important that, and let me just say that for those who are married or have an intimate relationship, you may have heard it said at some point that it's not so much what you said, it's how you said it. And that is something that will stay with us, but how you said it. Everyone has a personality style. In the DISC, D-I-S-C, some of us are outgoing people. We feel good being out front. Some others are reserved. They're more behind the scenes type people. There are some of us who are task oriented, and then there are others who are more people oriented. We're a mix and a blend of all of that. The D is a dominant type personality. Some people know these type people as a type A people, constantly on the go, and we take charge type thing. Yeah. And but that's the dominant personality. The I is inspirational. They might take a conversation, go off to Pluto somewhere, and man, they're just always lively. They're maybe the life of the party type person, but they are also outgoing, and they just like to keep going things. One of the drawbacks of those that are I personality, they can be flighty and aren't necessarily sticking with the subject. Those of us who are D personalities can come across as very crass and directive and so forth. Yeah. We need to moderate ourselves. But the S personality is a reserve type personality, very supportive. They care a lot about personal relationships, and they may be very slow to develop trust in people, but that's because they want to develop that very solid relationship. And then the C personality is the person who might be defined as very cautious, but they're the type people who can't get enough data. They want the data to flow in, and they're not going to make a decision until they have what they feel is all of the data that is required to be able to make an informed decision. Those of us who are D personalities might be willing to make a decision in 17 seconds, whereas the C personalities are going to say, well, hold back, Ron, let me tell you about some things that you likely haven't looked at yet. Jeff, I go through that, and it takes, it can be all day really to determine really personality styles. Some people have said, oh, I've been assessed numerous times throughout my life, and that's fine, but it's how do you implement what you've learned about your personality and adapting to other personalities. And I can help a person, you can as well, Jeff, being DISC certified. We can help people get pretty accurate assessment of a person's personality within 30 to 60 seconds of speaking with a person. And we're not prophets, not that at all. We're not fortune tellers, but we just know the data points that say, okay, I believe you likely are. And then as we choose to adapt to those type people, we can have relationships. And Jeff, from my perspective, the personality styles are almost always based on having what Marty and I call connected relationships. And we can, when we do that by choice. That's just very briefly as an overview of DISC personalities and in the application.
I love it. And if anybody is interested in diving into that more, please reach out to Ron, because I am actually not certified. I've just been through it so many times. I've business mentor of ours is certified. And so every time we meet with him, part of the weekend that we mastermind with him on is part of that. We touch on this every single time, because you can never learn too much about it. You're always going to use it. It's so valuable. And in case this won't surprise you, but I am a DI and my wife is a CS. So it's the opposite attract thing is a real thing. And we find out ways that we are opposite, new ways we're opposite almost every day. So, and we've only been married 26 years. We're good 30 years behind you. So we got
all right.
To find out more.
I'll tell you, Jeff, you and I are the mirror image of Marty and me, but we're very different, but in complementary ways. And
yeah, exactly.
That's exactly how we look at it. And I'm a believer that as long as we can communicate, we can work through anything.
That's right. That's right. As long as you communicate, and as long as the other person actually cares how it goes, and the other person is actually caring towards the other person while you're going through it, that is always, you're always going to win. So exactly. So, well, hey, I tell you what, man, we are at another good spot for a break. So we're going to do that here, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes, but I'll have this QR code back in the third segment. And so if anybody is interested in reaching out to Ron to learn more about DISC or learn more about anything he's doing, or just to ask a question, if something's popped into your head while we've been talking and you want to ask him a question, put it in the chat or go to the website and you can do that. So we'll see you guys in just a couple of minutes.
Hey everybody, Craig Tomanini here, founder and CEO of Ask Craig T, and I wanted to do a quick reminder about our podcast every Friday, 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. You can find us on YouTube and on all of our social media platforms, so be sure you tune in. Don't miss all the valuable information we're going to give you about how to scale your business using technology.
Hi, I'm Jake, co-founder and CEO of One Hope. My friends and I started this company in 2007 out of the back of this truck, on a mission to enrich people's lives through wine. Today, we've grown into a state-of-the-art Napa Valley winery that proudly houses a portfolio of award-winning wines which have touched lives through over 40,000 nonprofits at home and around the globe. And it's happening every day. Being rooted in local communities and contributing to initiatives that uplift neighborhoods, celebrate cultures, and promote community. It's what got us here. You see, through every bottle sold, your purchase can make a direct impact on the causes you care about. One Hope's cause of choice has given back over $10 million and counting.
Hey everyone, Coach Greg here from Living Empowered TV, where we help women live empowered lives through amazing guests, life hacks, mental, physical, and emotional health. See us on the Achieve Network, 12 o'clock Wednesdays Pacific time on E360 TV. Don't miss out.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And I'm hoping that if you were watching that last segment toward the end, that you got something out of that, because that I have been learning this stuff. There are so many different forms of personality assessment and personality types, and high I and low D and all the things. But then there's like the type A personality, and there's the lion and the Labrador, and there's so many different variations of it, but really it boils down to four options really and the combination of those. So if you have done that in the past or not, or whatever, want a refresher, man, it's so cool. And things can change. The idea, correct me if I'm wrong, Ron, but the idea, especially in the business world, or really in any world, relationships or anything, you kind of want to be a perfect blend of all four, so that if you're talking to an I, you can relate to the I. If you're talking to a C, you can relate to the C. You kind of want to be able to adapt, right?
Oh, that's exactly what it is, Jeff. And as we conduct these sessions, it really takes probably 2 half-day or maybe 1 all-day session to fully understand the positives, the negatives of the 4 basic personalities. And everyone is a blend of personalities. I'm a DI, as you are. And but as we learn what the strengths are, there are weaknesses we need to be aware of. And as we can identify other people's personalities and again, choose to adapt to them, and as we are aware of the positive, the negatives, and so forth, we can adapt to different people, the styles, and so forth. And as we're able to do that, we are going to create, again, great lasting relationships. And I think one of the universal traits that goes across any language is the term care. I care. And as I choose to adapt to different people, you will know that I care. And so, and that care extends in the context of culture, and it's a much larger topic. I do believe there is a continuum between home and work, meaning when things are going well at home, there's a reasonable chance you'll arrive to work at happy. And if I've got a good culture at work, there's a pretty good chance you'll go home at a reasonable attitude. But then the reverse happens. Now, without taking a lot of time, Jeff, I want to encourage our leaders who are listening to develop that personality style that we care, such that I tell people frequently, I never want to intrude on your home life, but I want you to know I am available to help you with anything at home. Because if we can develop that trusting, psychologically safe environment where we have the freedom to speak with each other, I will never gossip about you or denigrate you in any form or fashion. But as I am able to help you work through any matters at home, it's all going to have a very positive synergistic effect at work. So that's what we're all about.
It's true, man. And it does. Whatever you are experiencing, and I mean, everybody says when you come to work, leave your personal life at the door. We've heard that a million times, but how easy is that though? That's not easy to do sometimes. So to have the wherewithal and the awareness of, okay, I'm this personality, they're that personality. So if I see them having a bad day or I see them having an awesome day, I'm gonna morph to that and relate to them in that way, so that we can have a good day together.
No, it's exactly what it is. And I will tell you, Jeff, it's in my perception in today's society, we have a lot of different reasons, should you choose to find fault with or be different about and so forth. A lot of that is ideologically driven, but yep. I like to interact with people who are different from me, because I know how people like me think. I'd like to know how other people think, why they think the way they do. And we unfortunately have had some people who disagree with each other and they seek retribution from that and so forth. Marty and I talk about how to resolve conflict, and it has a lot to do with personality styles, a mindset of, and how can we help people to learn about other people and help them deal with conflict. But it is confronting, and the term confront sometimes means, some people take it as mean argumentative, combative. Not at all. I just want to do what I can to work with you, Jeff, and others to help resolve any differences we may have. And I'm not going to think any less of you because you have some different thoughts about me. So again, as we can dialogue, we'll work through anything. But that's a lot of what the teamwork and harmony at home and at work is all about.
Well, and that extends to whatever people, because every workforce, every office, every employer, every place has different personalities, but they also have invisible conditions are so common nowadays, whether it's ADHD or there's fibromyalgia out there, there's autism rampant out there. There's so many people that are working in these environments, and that's like an added wrinkle, right? So if you have somebody that's, say, diagnosed with ADHD and they're a DI, you're gonna have a little bit more work on your hands if you are a CS as an employer or an owner of a company to interact with that person. So it's really important to practice those traits and get as much exposure as you can, because that'll only serve you well.
No, you're right on target, Jeff. And the other thing that I like to emphasize with people, I use the expression, I would rather have to apologize than to eulogize. And what I mean by that is I would hope that people, I can help by working with people, I can help you develop the courage and confidence to work with people. And again, Jeff, if I were now what I was then, I wouldn't have the confidence to talk about what I'm discussing right now. But as we have the confidence and courage to work with others, awareness, all of this comes together, Jeff, that when we project ourselves a way that you matter and I care about you, we are going to help people develop into their best potential that they can be.
Absolutely. That is so perfect. Yeah. And so unfortunately we are almost out of time. So I think we have about, I'm going to say, I think we have about 2 or 3 minutes left. So if in those last couple of minutes, like say 3 minutes, what would you like to leave our audience with today?
Jeff, let me just say it this way. Some people ask the question, what do you do? And depending on how the conversation is going, I might say that, well, have you ever been in a situation where this conversation is going south pretty fast? And a lot of people are going to say, well, yes. And I say we help people develop the confidence to develop and restore relationships. That could be one thing that we help do. I do know that in the context of teamwork, I personally feel there are 3 organizations that have teamwork down to a fine art. That's firefighters, first responders, and military. So part of my 22-year military background, F4 pilot, I have 300 combat missions, is that we can be very decisive, but a lot of that is because we know how to do what-if analyses. And as we help or work with organizations to develop that aspect of critical thinking, go through the what-ifs, I can promise you, we can help avoid a lot of chaotic situations because you've already thought through 80% or so of a scenario. And the remainder of that is just what little bit we couldn't have thought through, but it's the current moment type thing. Jeff, we work with organizations to help them define exactly where they are, where they want to be. There is no one solution that fits everybody, but we will help you get from where you are to where you want to be. And we can, we have a proprietary method to determine some of the root causes that are keeping you from getting to where you want to be. And that's how we work with organizations.
And that's awesome. And and the fact that you incorporate DISC is huge, because that's so big. I can't imagine. Could you imagine if they incorporated that in the military, like in boot camp? Like, I don't think it would. Like, I don't know if it would work. I don't know if Uncle Sam would agree to it. But could you imagine how different life would be in the military if people were aware of that?
No, you're exactly right, and but it's a lot of training is done throughout the military, and actually it is being worked into some of those who care enough about that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know why I just had this picture in my mind of Private First Class SC, and then drill sergeant who's a DI and just crash, and oh, it could be better, right? So. But
No, you're right. But I'll just say very briefly, Jeff, that we are definitely on the upswing
good.
of recruitment, and we're seeing a lot of very positive results. That the eyes of the military, go up and down with some people, but right now we're in a very positive trend with the military.
Good. No, it's awesome. I love the military. I'm in Colorado Springs, so we're surrounded.
Yes.
We've got Air Force bases, Army bases, Air Force Academy, Cheyenne Mountain. And so it's such a cool place to live. And by the way, thank you for your service and your sacrifice for all those years. That is amazing. So thank you for that. And thank you for being here and for being so open and so just real about what's going on with you and what you went through and what you're doing now to help people. Thank you.
No, thank you, Jeff. And I don't tell you about my military experience to garner those type statements, but I do thank you for the opportunity to express the pride in the military. And I will say that just very briefly, many of those that with whom I flew just said, "You're born to fly, Ron." And I will say, yep, it was a great, great opportunity, and I loved it all. I look back very fondly on the military, and what I'm doing now is passing forward those traits, those positive aspects of the military that we can guarantee we can work with organizations to help build that teamwork culture to where you will have the people, the processes, which will build to the profits if you're a for-profit organization, and you'll have a great teamwork with high retention.
Amazing. It's true. It's awesome. And I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Stick around so we can chat. And I'm thankful that you were here. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate the opportunity to be with you, partner.
All right, man. Holy smokes. See, those are fun. I learn something new every time, guys. I tell you this every time. I know you probably get sick of it, but I learn something new every show. So man, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being here. If you've been here a long time, thank you. If this is your first episode, thank you for being here. Welcome. Join us for our next episode, which will be on Tuesday, November 18th. So looking forward to seeing you then. Till then, have an amazing day, and we'll see you soon.